Crow. Crow is like my first like hip hop name. It was my name for like 4 or 5 years, all through high school. Basically, it was when I left high school that I decided to retake the name, you know, Kamau. It being my middle name or an alternative to my first name. It's like, you know, my legal name. You know. But before that, I was like, you know, Crow. Crow is like a black bird that is often considered ugly or evil, and really it's just a bird, like any other bird. You know what I mean? Like, and people put all this, you know, you see like, witches and ghosts and goblins and all this sort of stuff, and there's always like crows like flying through the thing. They're supposed to be like dark and evil and all these sort of things, and they're just birds like any other kind of bird. It's just we projected all these things onto the bird, and so it's like I felt very much like that, like just as a person, especially as a teenager, like being a young black male in society in general. All these things are put on you, like these labels are put on you, and assumptions are put on you, and that's why it's like the police deal with you in a certain way, whether you've done anything or not, or that sort of thing. But I thought the idea of a bird as well, something with wings, had to do with freedom and being able to like fly. And I would bear in mind, I wouldn't have articulated it this well when I was 16, but that's what was in my mind. You know what I mean? Like that, you know, a bird is free. A bird can fly up and move in any direction that it wants to move in. It was about freedom as well, and that's why I call myself Crow.
Children are home from the park. Shame. Every day's another name to discuss. Flood the streets with their guns and they blame it on us. Always at the back of the bus, as they say. Jane made the front page after Boxing Day. These guns, you can get them off the street to the shelves. So the youth make a purchase to protect themselves. Parents unaware of what the new reality is. Tragically, catastrophe where families live. And many black boys becoming men on their own. You won the lottery if you got a father at home.
I think I had mentioned before, like, the guys from Pangea were like my best friends. You know, we all went to high school together, except for Natural, except for Terrell, who basically could have gone to Oakwood because he was there so much, you know. But yeah, I mean, myself, Danilo, Paul, although Kenny wasn't like officially, Kenny was like around for the whole process. He produced a bunch of songs, and Kenny Neal, that is, produced a bunch of songs in it as well. And the idea of Pangea was that it was basically this project that we would work on as a collective of individuals who started doing music together, who did their first performances together, who went to the same high school, who used to go to all the same places, you know, Planet Mars and like all these things that we used to do when we were young, you know. Hajil used to do this thing called Inner Visions, you know, spoken word, open mic stuff a little bit later on, and like we just used to do everything together. And when we left high school, we kind of all went in our separate directions, you know. It's like Paul went to Ryerson, I went to York, Danilo went to OCAD, and it meant that we kind of started living these separate lives because we did so much together before, and then we started living these like separate lives because we were like we were doing different things. You know, people got into relationships and stuff, and so that naturally like just starts to pull people in different directions. So you still want to like hang out with your boy, but he doesn't have as much time as you. You don't have as much time as you used to have, and it's difficult sometimes. And I had met Kevin Chaos, and he had offered me space in his studio to be able to record and whatever. And so, you know, I asked him, is it cool if I bring my boys along as well? And we were just there. I think even the first sessions they were there with me as well. And we just stayed in the studio and was like, yo, we should if we have access to this thing on a regular basis, we should just record something that's ours, like together. And that's kind of how it came along. The idea of Pangea was that, you know, Pangea was the name of the world's land masses before they started breaking apart. That enormous, it was just one big landmass in the middle of an enormous ocean, you know, that occupied the rest of the globe. And what that landmass was called was Pangea, you know, and it broke apart and became all the different continents, you know. But so the idea with us was like, music was the thing that literally made us come back together. And so the idea of Pangea was that it's like a reunification of this thing, like similar to this landmass that was called Pangea. It was like a reunification of these people who were always together and went apart but came back together to do music, you know. And that was basically like the concept around the idea of Pangea and the Pangea project, you know.